Hello, everybody. Welcome to Wealth Wednesday. Let's call it that. I am Cheree of Simply Funded. And if you have ever wanted to purchase a group home, you want to invest in group homes, you want to make money from group homes, this is the video for you. So I've got a special friend of mine. He actually lives up the street from me, not too far. Yet we've never met in person.
I know.
However, that's because he's running around like crazy. He is helping people get into group homes. He has a couple of other businesses. He's like a superstar. His name is Coach K. So I
Yeah.
want to say hello to you, Coach K. Hello.
Hello, how you doing? Thank you for having me. It's an honor to be here. It's been long planned.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
usually have you on my channel, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad to be here today, and we'll meet one day.
Mm-hmm.
Just very soon.
Yeah.
We'll catch up because
Yeah.
you actually got me into the Hartford comments.
Chamber of Commerce. Yeah, we
Yeah,
got to
yeah.
see
So I
the
signed up.
coffee and connections.
Yeah,
So
so one day I
yeah, you
might
got to
catch
run through there. So when you come to Coffee and Connections, I'm usually at that meeting.
you. Okay.
So.
All right.
Mhm.
Awesome.
So, tonight's conversation is all about group homes. And
Mhm.
of course, you all know I'm the money lady. If you are looking for money to purchase these assisted living homes, group homes, anything like that, you definitely can come to me because, look, people are not only like investing in these businesses, but you probably want to own the property as well. And the reason that
Mhm.
I say that is because if you rent the property, let's say you get a 3-year lease, and all of a sudden the owner decides to sell the property, then
Mhm.
you have to move your group home, move your business someplace else. And that's very disruptive. And
Mhm.
it could just be a lot. So I wanted to partner with Coach K, who's going to talk more about like how to start
Mhm.
group homes, how to get the government contracts, things like that, and also encourage you, simplyfunded.com, come to see us with regards to owning that real estate. So, Coach K,
Yeah.
tell everybody a little bit about yourself and why you are an expert in group homes.
I'm getting there. I was okay. Let me start from scratch.
Mhm.
I was working in a group home when I was age 19. Just first my mom was saying, "Come and work at my job." It's a better job. You can come in, you can sleep at night, you don't have to do much. And I'm like, nah, I don't want to take care of people. I prefer to work at the seafood carry out that I'm working at. But eventually I changed my mind. So fast forward, once I got my degree, I became a case manager. Then when I started working with Maryland Department of Disabilities, the company that I worked for was a nonprofit. So they had a contract with DDA. So I'm going to use this term called DDA, which is Department of Development Administration. Then I start to look at the numbers, how much these group homes were making per clients. I had to submit something called a cost detail for one client. I had an average of 40 clients on my caseload, and one client could be 200,000. One client could be 500,000. I had a client that their budget was almost $1 million. So, so these group homes, what they do is they they service the individuals with disabilities, or it can be mental health, or it can be assisted living. Well, some of these group homes use apartments, and some because I guess they don't want to invest in property. But the smart agencies, what they do is they invest in properties. They've had properties since the early '80s, and some of those properties maybe they purchased them at a low cost. Now some of them are almost 500,000, almost 400,000, almost 300,000. But if you can get into this business, right, you're making money from the state, but also you invest that money back the assets, the property. Because one client alone can pretty much pay for you and your staff. I've seen clients that their budget is almost 1.6 million, and they had a full staff. They had only one client. But most agencies, their mistake is yes, most of their mistake is no, you on mute.
I was on mute. Sorry, I was saying one client for 1.6 million. Oh my
Yes,
goodness.
yes.
Wow.
And the CEO was making 100,000. They had a full staff, only one client. But the mistake most of these startups do, they don't invest in the property at an early stage, maybe after the first 5 years. They're still paying these apartments um, rent every month,
Mhm.
and sometimes that's a waste. So big companies in the area like Arc of Baltimore, Chimes, and other agencies, what they do is invest in property and put the clients there, get paid from the state, and also that property goes up in value.
Right, right. So I have a network of investors that I work with, and
Correct.
one of them actually, he just I called him and was like, "Hey, well, what's going on?" He said, "Oh, funny you should call because I'm purchasing some properties and they're going to be assisted living homes,
Hmm.
and so there's just so much opportunity out there with regards to assisted living, group homes. You had mentioned the different levels of assistance that people need.
Yeah, I
However,
can.
I do,
I'm sorry.
I know that there are some people who the group home is like the person's fairly independent. Maybe they
Hmm.
are just developmentally challenged, but they
Correct.
go to work every day and,
Yes.
they're living their lives and,
Hmm.
their parents are older in their
Hmm.
60s, 70s, and they want the kids to be in a group home because they are developmentally challenged. They can't
Correct.
necessarily live by themselves totally, but they're independent enough to have their own jobs and things like that. So
Yes.
it's there's a wide range. There's also foster kids as well,
Yeah.
right?
Of
Uh,
course. Let me present my. Do you mind if I present my
yeah,
screen
go
real quick?
ahead. So I know you have some slides to show
Yeah.
people.
Let's see. Yeah, I just put it there. Okay.
Okay,
Yeah,
actually, let
help me
me
accept it. Yeah.
put it up here.
All right.
Yes.
So this is the list of places, group homes. I mean, homes you can, businesses that you can start. You can start the one with developmental disability, youth homes, which you just brought up, Miss Cheree. You like pretty much jump. So foster home is another one where for children. Also, with some states, once you have a home for foster kids, it can be used for juvenile for the Department of Juvenile Services, because there's some kids that commit they are found delinquent, and their mom or pops will say, look, I don't want them to come home with me. So the state will take custody, so they will be in DJS custody. So you can also accept those kids into your foster home. Then you have the substance abuse recovery. Now those houses, some of them are usually in the inner city, but most of them are out of the city. Like if you
That's
go
true.
outside to Eastern Shore, so they have
Yeah.
a big ranch, you know.
Yeah, they have the
Um,
sober houses. So I have a client who wanted to buy a sober house and he
mhm.
was looking for someplace rural and the reason or slightly remote, not totally, but the reason that people want to do that is because they need to get the person out of their normal surroundings
Correct.
as well. So having them in a more just slightly remote area really
Yes.
does help with regards to their recovery.
Yep. And another
Mhm.
one is the veterans group homes. They do have those for veterans that recently, maybe some might be homeless or some are just recently coming home. Then they have transitional group homes for hospitals and correctional facilities. Now, for example, if a person that was committed a crime, but they find him not able to stand trial, when they discharge him from the hospital, he will go into a transitional group home before he goes back into the community. Then you have the nursing homes, which everybody's familiar with. Then you have the mental health group homes. Those ones are for people who have serious mental health, and they just need some kind of stability. Maybe the court ordered them to be in a group home. So all these opportunities, you have to put in the paperwork to become approved and licensed by the state before you can actually start providing these services. So you got to go through that paperwork, that 2 years 3 years of providing the paperwork, your proposal. Then once you get approved, then it's either you rent a house for a while. Then once the money's coming in, then you can start looking to invest into properties. I'll tell you about a company. They've been in business for almost maybe 15 years. So what they did eventually, they purchased a commercial building. Right? They've been renting their offices. They had like 3 offices, so they were renting it. So they bought a commercial building. I don't know how many square feet. So they had their offices on the 2nd floor. The 1st floor is rented out to a whole bunch of offices. 3rd and 4th floors is rented out to a whole bunch of offices, and they're doing their group home business on the 2nd floor. So when you go into a business like group homes, you have to think of the assets. Some people don't even think about that. They just want to make the money. No, invest into the property. That's the business. It could be residential. It could be commercial. Either one.
Yeah, so I'll also give you the other part of it is there may come a time when you don't want to run the business anymore, but you could
Correct.
still own the property, rent it to the next person
Mm-hmm.
who's running the day-to-day operations and running the business. So,
Absolutely.
but you would still, because we're looking for how do we set you up to be able to retire, be able
Mm-hmm.
to retire early,
Mm-hmm.
have cash flow coming in, et cetera. And these are not short-term trends here. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
there's always, at least for the great foreseeable future, you're going to have needs in all of these areas.
Absolutely.
Yes,
And,
absolutely.
here's the thing that happened to one company. They were licensed by the state, and most of their clients were in apartments. Unfortunately, something happened. They didn't do what they were supposed to do, and the state revoked their license, right? And once they revoked their license, all the clients they had in your program went to other programs, and the business, what happened to the business? Crashed. They had to shut the door. But if they had assets like homes, they can rent that out, and business continues because it's the business owns the homes. But they had over 20 apartments that were paying rent to, which didn't make sense to me. And once the
Yeah, they could have just brought another business in that had the license and said, but the property is here, and it would not have disrupted the people that were living in
oh
those
no,
those units.
they took them. You can't even they couldn't even partner with another person. That's how bad.
Oh, so
Yeah,
that's too bad.
that's how they do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't partner with another person. Once they
Okay.
revoke your license, usually the general attorney general's office, once they revoke someone's license, that's pretty much it for you. So, but they had
I would
no
imagine it takes a lot for a license to be revoked. I mean, this is the
access.
government.
Yeah,
So,
it does. It does.
yeah.
But what you need to know, what I always tell people, if you're trying to get into starting your own group owned business, make sure you register your business. Usually, depending on the type of license, I know for DDA, they want you to have a nonprofit or C Corp, S Corp. Some will allow an LLC. That's fine. You need board of directors. You can't have your baby mama, your cousin on the board. No, you got to get some community people. So they know, because when I submit, like when I ask people to give me their paperwork, they have their uncle, their aunt, with everybody with the same last name. I said, sorry, this won't work. DDA is going to turn it back. You need to find people who will sit on your board. Funding. Sometimes they might ask you to have 6 months of expenses in your account before you get approved, because sometimes you might not get a client for 6 months if you got approved. So you're going to have to pay your office space. You're going to have to pay your staff, buy supplies before you receive a client. So you need to have that. And another thing, which is very important, is experience. This is a problem. I've had people reach out to me to consult, and when I ask them, do you have any experience running a group home? They never had the experience. They lied on their resume. Somebody wrote the proposal for them. So somebody like me, when I'm writing someone's proposal, I usually ask the pre-questions. Do you have the experience in this business? If they say no, I don't work with them, because I'm not going to put you out there to go run a DDA agency or a group home agency, and you don't know what you're doing, and the life of a client might be in jeopardy. So experience matters. Licensing and regulation, also focus on that. location and facilities, and your policies and procedure. They always want policies and procedure. And the last one, networking and collaboration. You're always going to network with other hospitals, referral agencies, clinics, so they will send you the clients. But there's so much opportunity. It depends on which area you would like to focus and which area you would like to go in. So yeah.
So you had mentioned that it takes about 2 years
Correct.
for people to get licensed, and I just want to tell people, 2 years will come and go no matter
Okay.
what. So don't look at it like that. Look at it as a real time for you to prepare,
Hmm.
get your ducks in a row, maybe get some additional funding together,
Hmm.
get some
Exactly.
reserves together,
Hmm.
shadow other people who have group homes in order to
Correct.
figure out what best practices
Hmm.
and things like that, and understand that this is something that 2 years from now, you could be in a whole different tax bracket, or you could be in a whole different asset class
Hmm.
with these licenses. So yeah, I think it's important for people to have that kind of vision and foresight with regards to this. How do people get in touch with you if they want to learn more? Because you are an expert in helping people pull their
Yeah.
paperwork together,
Correct.
submit it, and then get the government contracts and operate their businesses, right?
Yeah. My focus is on the first one, which is excuse me, which is development disabled, DDA, which is people that are trying to get group homes with people with disability. Um, the other stuff like mental health, I'm not clinical, so I don't know anything about that, but I do know people who do it. Um, but for that part in the state of Maryland, I am very familiar. And also, I've also I tell some of my clients, because most people, they live in Maryland and they figure that, oh, I want to do it in Maryland, and I tell them to open the door to other states. If you live in Maryland, um, we're like 30 minutes away from Delaware, so I know how to do Delaware's, I know how to do Pennsylvania's, and I know how to do Virginia's. So when you apply to one state, just don't keep your eggs in one basket. Look for the other states. If you have to spend a whole weekend down there just looking for office, or just driving around the neighborhood to see where you would like your office to be, vision yourself in other states, not just the state of Maryland. So there's government contracts in 50 states, especially with this group home business. You can look into every state in this country. There's one. You mean?
Sorry. Um, yeah, I think that's important as well with regard
Mhm.
to, some of us are bordering other states, and sometimes it is better to go
Mhm.
from Maryland to Delaware, or West Virginia, or
Mhm.
go from Northern Virginia to Southern Virginia or Southeast Virginia and things
Yeah.
like that. So I think those things are important to think about where you want to be located overall. How do people get in touch with you again? Did you say
Oh, I'm
that?
sorry. Yeah, you can come to my channel, K Business Channel, and my information is right there. Let me see if I can put
Yeah, if you
my
could put that
email
in,
in the
because
in the chat,
yes, because we have people on Facebook, and I'm going to upload it to LinkedIn and other places. So,
so you can send
hey,
me.
Denise, good to see you, dear. And
Yeah.
hello, Prosperity Insight. So this is Kay's email
Yeah.
here if you need to speak with him with regards to, you know, learning more,
Hmm.
getting your paperwork together, things like that. And of
Right.
course, if you need funding for the real estate, we as Simply Funded want to be an asset to you,
Hmm.
because I do think that owning the asset is going to be so beneficial for so many people. I will say this as well. I had a client who purchased the home as a primary residence. So she's living in one of the bedrooms, and the other bedrooms are going to be used by elderly people. It was actually previously owned by a woman who had an assisted living
Okay.
business in there. So it's all set up ADA rules
That's
are
called
followed and everything.
shared
Yeah,
living.
and because of that, we set it
Hmm.
up where it was her primary residence. She got in with 5% down
Yeah.
and a homeowner grant as
Yeah.
well. So, um,
And
so
and the
we
greatest thing
Mhm.
is, I'm sorry to cut you off.
Okay.
There's something called environmental assessment with
Mhm,
DDA. What
mhm.
happens is if the client is unable to walk up the steps, they will DDA will pay for a wheelchair ramp to the house. They will
Very
pay
cool.
for a walk-in shower. They will pay
Mhm,
for all types of things that the client can use for that home. So that
right.
home is going to be modified into
Into what's
so
needed.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. So you
yeah.
get the free money just to renovate the whole house. You know, I'm telling you,
This
it's
is where you wanna have somebody like, Coach K on your side to tell you all the hidden pockets of money that's
mhm.
out there that's available, to you. So, yeah. So, any other pieces of information you have for people with regards to the group
What
homes?
I'll tell people to I always tell all my clients because right now I have about 16 clients right now,
Mhm,
and people want to get into this business, and I usually tell them to think outside the box, um, be very patient.
mhm,
Uh, you know, not everyone is going to be approved the first time, but the goal is to put your name in the hat. I met with a client yesterday at my office, and he was like, "Oh, I want to go in the first time." I said, "Think about it. There's a lot of companies outside of Maryland trying to get services here. So you also look for services outside of Maryland.
mhm.
Once you have your company registered, all you have to do is register a foreign company in another state with the same name. You know, make sure that you have all your paperwork and everything. In other states, it's much easier than Maryland. Maryland is very difficult for some reason. I don't know why. And I just tell people just to have patience, not to feel, don't feel rushed. Because when you rush, like some of them want to rush me, they want to submit their paperwork on time, and they don't even have all their documentation. They don't have all their documentation.
Yeah, I
There was a
know.
lady, there was a lady that got denied because the time they check everything, they
Mhm,
eliminate people for the smallest reasons. So what the lady did was she went when she submitted her application, she went on Maryland business website to see if the
mhm.
business is active, and the business is not active. Pay your $300, man. Pay your three
That's
hundred,
an easy thing to check, yes.
and she got denied for that. You know, so I always tell people the group home thing. Keep applying. You can apply as many times as you want, as long as you don't have any red flags with Medicaid. You haven't
Mhm,
done any fraud or any type of. You haven't been suspended because you fraudulently fill out the timesheets. You can apply as many times as you can. The only thing that you have to do every time you apply is do your background check. That's it. Apart from that, you have once you a consultant helps you write it or you write it yourself, you have the paperwork the same paperwork you have here, you can go to another state and do the same thing. You
mhm.
have to change the words around. And I just tell people to go ahead and keep trying. Don't stop. Don't stop. Um,
Yeah.
they're looking for providers. They're looking for people to come in and start an agency. You know what? You know what? Some guy in Pennsylvania. This is in Pennsylvania, you can't even start a group home unless you are doing business with the state of Pennsylvania for 2 years, but you're providing a community service, meaning you're sending staff to the clients' homes.
Mhm.
They can't allow you to do group homes first. So he's coming to Maryland to start a group home, and I
To
told him,
get the experience.
yeah,
Mhm,
and the thing is, I told him, I said, why don't you just stay in Pennsylvania? Get
mhm,
and 2 years will go like this, but get your foot in the door. When
mhm.
you get your foot in the door, 2 years will be gone. Then you can apply for the residential there, and they will give it to you. Now you pay me all this money.
Mhm.
Hope you get into Maryland, right? Group home, but it's even harder here.
Yeah.
So
It's all a strategy, and sometimes you want to rush so much and rush so much. Look, we're in America, it's microwave
Exactly.
society. But when Coach K and I were talking previously, before we came on live, I said that, look, it's taking 2 years for
Yeah.
me to finally get my footing, like really get my footing as a loan officer. And getting really good traction. So, yeah, look, most great things like this do take 2 years, two to
Correct.
3 years.
Yeah.
But the boring businesses, the stuff that's not flashy, the harder it is to get in, the better the money is, the
Hmm.
better the profit margins are,
Correct.
things like that. So there's something to this patience thing and like really
Patience.
growing it right from the ground up.
Hmm.
So
In,
you're
in
gonna be two
Georgia,
years older anyway.
in Georgia, they want you to have 3 years experience, three
Mhm,
years experience providing services in the community, like the way Pennsylvania is.
mhm,
And some states are like that. So once
mhm.
you do, after you finish 3 years, then you can apply, you can add services because you have to renew your license every year. So you
Yeah.
can add multiple services. And I'm always telling people, even if you only have one client for 2 years, and you've been approved, at
Mhm.
least you got your foot in the door.
Yeah.
Do you know how many people are behind you that are getting denied for no reason? Even people that have more experience than you are getting denied. Get your foot in the door.
Yeah.
Get your foot in the door.
Be
It doesn't
smart and
matter.
strategic about it.
Yeah. Then later on, start adding the remaining services. You know, this thing is money. Medicaid they just gave an increase in Maryland, you know. So there's money. There's money.
Mhm.
This group home business.
Yeah.
I'm telling you.
Yeah, there is. Which is why I wanted to have you here. Um, Plenty of chocolate is saying, I'm a PA, perfect timing.
Oh,
Abundance is
nice,
in the house.
nice.
Hello. So, yeah, so everybody, look, this is Coach K's email address. Email him, pay for his consultations if needed. Figure out what your strategy is overall and think about it long term, not just having the group home business, but owning the real estate as well.
Mm-hmm.
That
Yeah.
way, if you ever like you want to retire, you want to do something different, you still own the asset, you still own the property, and you
Correct.
can sell the business and keep the real estate and get that lease money every month.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
the other reason why I suggest people own the real estate, own the building that it's in, is because if you're renting someplace and that um, person you're renting from decides to sell,
Mm-hmm.
your business is disrupted unless you
Absolutely.
can buy from that individual. So,
Mm-hmm.
just something else to think about as you all are thinking, that hey, you want to get into a group home. So, get into a
Because
group home business. Hey,
by
Mike,
the
good to
time
see you.
by the time you get into your third year owning the business, you would have had enough money set aside to put as a
Hopefully,
down payment. Yeah, hopefully.
yeah.
To put as a down payment for a house.
Unless you're making it
Even
rain,
some
don't
people
make it
even
rain.
have some people even have the whole amount
Hmm.
sitting in the bank account.
Hmm.
It's for the business. They have 300,000 that's sitting right there. They can just buy it because
Yeah.
you can have a whole bunch of clients that their budget are over 250,000 per client.
Hmm.
300, 400,000. And if they have a lot of medical issues, they have a behavior plan, they have all these types of extra stuff. Yeah, your agency will be coming, you'll be making money. Majority of the DDA agencies in Maryland, their annual budgets are between 5 million to almost 50 million a year. Those are the small ones. Then the
Mm.
bigger ones is even bigger. Then they get donations, especially the Chimes. I know you've seen Chimes. Chimes is in Maryland, they're in Delaware, and they're in Virginia.
Hmm.
Yeah, and they're in Israel too. So man,
Wow.
they're making money. They are making money. They have properties everywhere. You know.
We've got to catch up.
Yeah,
Let's just say
yeah. I'm
we have
on. I'm
got
on it
to
too.
catch up. Yes, yes. So Greenbelt Gators is in the house. Thank you for the information. I'm in Maryland and have a vacant Baltimore property. I'm thinking of converting to either a group home or adult living facility. I will touch base with Coach K when I am ready to go. Do not wait until you're ready to go. Touch base with him now, get your strategy together so
Hmm.
that there are documents you're supposed to put together, things you're supposed to put together,
Hmm.
like you could really start thinking about it now. So don't wait until I'm ready for a contract. Can I get it tomorrow? Like, no. My suggestion would be just to reach out to Coach K and have a 15, 20-minute conversation. This is where my property is located. This is what I'm thinking of doing. What should I start putting together now so that when I'm ready to go, I can really hit the ground running.
Yeah.
So
So he has a vacant in Baltimore City.
yeah.
Um, yeah. So a lot of people are buying those vacants. They're really trying to change Baltimore City.
Hmm.
So it's all, and it also depends on where your vacant is.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Well, yeah. I mean, there are different parts, obviously,
Yeah.
of
Correct.
Baltimore, and it depends on several things, several factors. So,
Correct.
but you just said Baltimore, so it could be the county. Um, may not be probably the city, but maybe the county. So, I
Yeah.
saying here that
Well,
makes sense. I'll reach out to Coach K very soon. You're welcome. You're
you're
welcome.
welcome.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Just want to come in, sprinkle you with a little bit of knowledge today
Mhm.
about these group homes. Definitely consider getting more information. And if you think that this is something that you want to do,
Mhm.
work with Coach K. Don't forget simplyfunded.com if you're looking to purchase a home, refinance. Uh, I was quoting some interesting rates earlier today for refinances. So reach out to me. Let me know what you all need with regards to buying property for yourself um, or for any other people in your life. So that's
Mhm.
it. Thanks, Coach K. Thanks,
Thank you very much.
everybody.
Thank you for having me.
Take care.
Take care.